Morning, friends. Howdy, everybody. Mike's MMA Picks here for your UFC 250 breakdown. We have the quick card breakdown show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. Wow. If you look up and down this card, you're ready to become a million maker. I want to wish everybody out there the best of luck in this historic moment. First MMA contest with a millionaire at the top for mixed martial arts and DraftKings. Let's break down this card quickly. We have 12 fights on the docket. First fight of the night is a catchweight fight between Evan Dunham and Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns, the younger brother of Gilbert Burns. Burns coming in 8,900, minus 227 at the betting window. Brings a jiu-jitsu game similar to his brother. High-level black belt, taking on Evan Dunham, who, man, when was the last time you heard that name? It's been a few years. 7,300 plus 185 at the betting window. Southpaw in Dunham. You look up and down Dunham's resume. He's fought the who's who at the lightweight division. He's going to be the bigger fighter here. Dunham retired in 2018. He's fought the likes of Sean Shirk, Rafael Dos Anjos, Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone, Joe Lozon. Man, he's been in there. 18-8 record. This fight isn't expected to go to the distance at minus 170. Evan Dunham has been susceptible to being hurt to the body. Herbert Burns, I don't think he's going to work that body. I think we're going to see Herbert Burns come in here and land some takedowns. Dunham's a solid jiu-jitsu practitioner, though I think he's going to be a lot slower in this fight than Burns. And another thing, Evan was supposed to take a fight back in April against Michael Johnson. That fell through, and he actually said that he asked the UFC to take a welterweight fight. This fight's taking place at 150. He'd be ready if there was a welterweight opportunity. I think speed's going to be a big factor in this spot. I don't trust the durability of Evan Dunham despite being a dog, and he was one of my favorite fighters for many years, but that ship has sailed. You're going to be searching for underdogs here. Dunham isn't going to be a primary play of mine, but give me Herbert Burns to get the victory in this spot. Next up, we head to the light heavyweight division. We've got Devin Clark taking on Alonzo Menifield. Menifield, $9,000 in DraftKings, minus 227 favorite. Has had a cakewalk through his UFC fights thus far. Devin Clark, on the other hand, has faced some serious adversity. Clark coming in at 7,200. I suspect we're going to see some high ownership of Devin Clark when you're scouring the landscape for underdogs who have a shot. This is more of a speculative move on my part, in that you look at Devin Clark. He has the wrestling. He's a grinder. He is built like a fire hydrant out there. 11-4 record. He was a minus 415 favorite last time out against Daquan Townsend. Problem is chin issues, big time chin issues. We've seen Rakic take him out, Nicholson make him look silly, and there's potential for Devin Clark to shell up in this spot. This fight is not expected to go to a decision at minus 280. Menifield isn't going to come out and throw massive combinations, isn't going to look pretty. He's going to be a gangbuster out there and look to put Devin Clark's lights out early. I don't see this one going the distance. Menifield should connect on something. But if he doesn't, and Menifield finds himself in deep waters, this is asking for trouble. So you're taking a bit of a risk here. Give me Menifield to get it done. Next, men's flyweights. We've got Alex Perez taking on Hussier Formiga. Formiga, 7,900 plus 108 underdog, 35 years of age, fighting out of ATT. He has the reach advantage in this spot. Perez, 8,300 minus 130 favorite. You look at what each fighter brings to the table. Formiga isn't looking to strike. In fact, he only lands 1.35 significant strikes per minute. He's going to look to grapple. You can see how he's been able to nullify fighters in the past. Look at Devison Figueiredo, rendered basically incapacitated. He could not get anything off. He was on his back most of the fight. I really like Formiga's entries, his time takedowns, his ability to wrap people up and maneuver, transition to the back. Thing is, though, he's fighting an Alex Perez here, who is a massive, massive flyweight. He's looked enormous at 135 pounds, comes in with a solid wrestling background. Perez, 23-5 record, hasn't tasted defeat often. Formiga, 23-7. Formiga's fought the who's who's, been in there with Joseph Benavidez, Henry Cejudo, etc. Lots of rear naked chokes, lots of back takes. Something that I've taken into consideration, Timo Yama has done a lot of work with Alex Perez, spent a great deal of time with Chito Vera. He was in Chito Vera's corner when Chito Vera fought Song Yadong, and you could see the look of shock when those scorecards were read. I don't think he's going to want to put himself in a situation like Chito Vera did, but there is the potential for Formiga to land takedowns here. We haven't seen Perez on his back often, and also we haven't seen him fight to escape when somebody's taken his back. Perez, though, he lands 4.48 significant strikes per minute. When this fight does stay standing, he should have a significant edge. Perez has decent cardio. He's going to be the much stronger, larger fighter. And I don't put much stock in his fight against Joseph Benavidez when there was a clash of heads in that bout. So you could throw that bout out the window. I'm going to be pulling for and picking Alex Perez in this fight. I think we may see a changing of the guard here at 28 years of age. The heavier strikes, the defensive wrestling, I think that's gonna pay dividends for Perez in this spot. Next up, we've got Charles Byrd taking on Maki Pitolo at 185 pounds. This fighter's typically, well, Pitolo typically is down at 170. You look at the metrics here. Both of these fighters have almost identical reaches. 8,800 for Charles Byrd, has a significant wrestling edge, minus 179 favorite. I like what I saw out of Byrd when he came onto the scene through his Contender Series fight and his first UFC fight against Phillips. Pitolo, 7,400 plus 148 underdog. Pitolo maybe a sneaky play out there because we've seen Byrd have some major chin issues and cardio issues. 10-6 record. Both of these fighters have tasted defeat numerous times and have experienced ugly losses. Byrd fighting out of Fortis MMA. Pitolo may get the job done, coconut bombs, but you look at his fight against Callum Potter. Goodness gracious, that was a disturbing thing to watch. Guy comes out as a -300 favorite and shows literally no striking defense whatsoever in that bout. I've seen that he's been pretty active as far as training goes, so his cardio may not be in question here, but he should get taken down a few times, and as long as this fight is happening and Byrd is still conscious, I see him winning this fight. Next up, we head to the men's 145-pound division where we have Brian Kelleher, who's coming off of an upset victory over Hunter, taking on Cody Stamann. Both of these guys, look at their reaches. This is interesting. 64-inch reaches across the board. I thought Cody Stamann had the shortest reach I've seen in the UFC. Kelleher has almost an identical reach. 9,100 at the betting window for Cody Stamann, -244 favorite. Kelleher 7,100 plus 198. Kelleher 21-10 record. He is a Swiss Army knife out there. Jack of all trades, able to come with power, with hooks, with spinning attacks, with guillotines. He'll be there at the end of the fight. He's going to be bringing this fight to Cody Stamann. Cody Stamann recently suffered the loss of his younger brother, and that is serving as motivation for him. We've seen grief work in different ways. It does have a dramatic effect on the body, both cognitively as well as physiologically. Though in this spot, it's being used as motivation. And you look at the Walt Harris fight, you have to take narratives away from the mix and look at what each fighter brings to the table. Cody Stamann has a smothering wrestling game and great cardio, and he has decent stand-up. I really liked what I saw out of him against Song Yadong in his last bout. I'm going to be picking Cody Stamann here, though Brian Kelleher is as live of a dog as it gets, and I have learned my lesson on Brian Kelleher picking against him. I say proceed with caution if you are facing or picking against Brian Kelleher. I will be picking Cody Stamann in this spot, but it would not surprise me if Kelleher is able to pull something off. He's super motivated out there, and the guy just does not give up on himself. Speaking of someone who does not give up on himself, well, we're going to pick Cody Stamann to win that fight. Next up, though, we've got Ian Heinisch taking on Gerald Meerschaert. We're heading to the 185-pound division where we have Gerald Meerschaert, 7,800. This fight was almost scrapped. I remember when I was putting together work for the breakdown, and we had Anthony Ivy actually step in on short notice, but Ian Heinisch is back in there. 7,800 for Meerschaert, plus 106 underdog. 32 years of age. Meerschaert has been having some success recently inside the octagon. 31-12 record. Rangy fighter who is willing to take massive risks out there. This fight is expected to go to a decision, though it wouldn't surprise me if this fight finishes. You've got Ian Heinisch at 8,400, Factory X fighter, minus 127. This fight, very interesting. Meerschaert's coming in with a big reach. Ian Heinisch is not the most technical fighter, has a wrestling background, and his tenacity, this guy, he is a hurricane. If you look at his namesake, it fits him perfectly. gets caught in tough spots, works his way out of them, has cardio for days. I didn't like what I saw in the Akhmedov fight, though. Puts himself behind the 8 ball in that spot. Also, against Derek Brunson, he was outclassed. But Meerschaert, although it looks like he's been improving, I think this is going to become a dogfight. And you look at his fight against Deron Winn. Deron Winn was lighting Meerschaert up at times. But Deron Winn, come on. Deron Winn has some serious flaws. And I'm going to be picking Heinisch, though. I think this is going to turn into a dogfight. I think he's going to be the more active fighter. I'll be picking Ian Heinisch to win by split decision. You know what? I don't think Heinisch is going to get submitted. So give me Heinisch to win by split decision. Next up, we are headed to the men's 145-pound division, where we have Alex Caceres. Caceres, 15-12 record. Man, he had a lot of promise when he came into the UFC. Bruce Leroy, 7,700 plus 160 underdog, taking on Chase Hooper, 20 years of age, 9-0 record, 8,500, and DraftKings minus 196. Hooper has a couple of inches of reach advantage here in this spot, but the stand-up is not Chase Hooper's strong suit. The closest thing I can compare Chase Hooper to is an octopus. He needs to get a hold of you somehow, some way, and he's going to wrap you up and submit you. Doesn't have much to offer other than that. He'll do whatever he has to get this fight to the ground. Caceres, though, is pretty fleet of foot and has a diverse background where he's a when it comes to martial arts, he's a high caliber martial artist in some regards, but technically, but he lacks strength and he lacks power, and that has cost him in the past. He can't end fights, and if he does end a fight, though, this could be one that he does, because Chase Hooper has, you look at Maki Pitolo striking defense, I will one-up you. Chase Hooper has worse striking defense than Maki Pitolo, and if Alex Caceres is able to land with success and keep Chase Hooper off of him, keep him at bay, then Caceres should be winning this fight. But I don't trust Alex Caceres, and I'll be picking Chase Hooper to win via submission. It may look very ugly while it gets there, and Chase Hooper has a lot of warts. You watch the fight against Tamer, it looks like a man fighting a child out there. And Chase Hooper, I wish he spent more time developing. I think this is very early for him to come to the UFC. He didn't have to do this. He could be permanently damaging himself by doing this, but I'll be picking Chase Hooper to win that fight. Next up, we have another a promising prospect, Sean O'Malley, taking on a grizzled veteran, Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland, 24-13, 6,900 in DraftKings. Grizzled veteran, had his jaw broken twice. Considered retirement a few times back in 2014 as well. 6,900 plus 374 underdog. This fight, I believe BetOnline had the odds. I think O'Malley was opening at like minus 180 or something like that. Now this line is at minus 500. Wild stuff. O'Malley minus MMA Lab product. Fight is not expected to go to a decision at minus 215. Wineland typically has a significant reach advantage over his opponents. Not in this spot. He's going to be behind the 8 ball here. O'Malley, 3-inch reach advantage. Cardio, grappling, quickness, youth. A lot of things are pointing to Sean O'Malley in this spot. These fighters mimic each other in one way, in that they're very unpredictable, and that they don't know what they're doing when they're doing it. I heard Eddie Wineland actually admit that in a recent interview on Sirius XM, that he tries to be evasive to a point where he doesn't know what he's doing, but he just fights off of instinct. I think that's going to be a problem in this spot, where O'Malley has become a sniper, and he also has a ground game here. I can understand to a certain degree why the odds makers would open this fight a little bit more closely lined than it is, but you look at where Eddie Wineland has been training. You also watch his interview. He wasn't taking fights because he was trying to remodel his house. And you look at the other side of the fight, and O'Malley, he had tears in his eyes last time out after he beat Quinones, missed the time inside the octagon. And I think that O'Malley is just going to be the more precise striker, and he's going to take Wineland out of there. So give me Sean O'Malley to win that fight. Next up, we head to the welterweight division, where we have a streaking Anthony Rocco Martin. I'm going to call him Tony Martin here. 7,500 plus 107 at the betting window. 30 years of age, coming off of a 14-week camp at a big reach a disadvantage against Neil Magny. Neil Magny, Elevation Fight Team. We've seen a lot of fighters coming out of Colorado recently. I believe Curtis Blades is going to be fighting coming up. Both of these guys around the same height, Curtis Blades and Neil Magny, though. You got an extra 100 pounds on Blades' frame. Now, you look at Neil Magny, 32 years of age, 8,700 in DraftKings, minus 128 favorite. He is a volume fighter, pressure fighter, does well in the clinch, long, rangy. Something that stuck out to me, Rocco Martin, although he has gone for submissions in the past, he's very disciplined to a fault. He will stick to game plans. The Maya fight, there have been many others. But he has potential if he is able to let himself loose. Has a great jab, though doesn't put much behind that jab. Can land low kicks. Is a solid grappler in that he can control his opponents, and he's strong, but he doesn't transition much, and he can get outworked. And this is a spot where Neil Magny could potentially, especially if this fight goes late, run away with the decision. Something that stuck out to me when I was doing the research, you look at Neil Magny's resume. Neil Magny has only lost one fight in his entire 29-fight pro career via decision. He's lost one fight via decision. So finding it difficult to pick against Neil Magny in this spot, though I see Rocco coming on strong. And if you look at folks who are underdogs with a decent shot, you look at odds value, Rocco Martin is one of the best plays on the card if you're looking for that. But if I'm looking to pick winners here, Neil Magny, I really question him coming off of the loss to Ponzinibbio, and he went back to the drawing board after a couple of years off. And although Li Jingliang may not have implemented the best game plan and didn't fight to his strengths, I did like what I saw from Neil Magny. Very closely aligned fight. I'll be picking Neil Magny to win in this spot. Next up, wow, 135 pounders. We've got bantamweights. We've got Corey Sandhagen taking on Aljamain Sterling. This is the main event of the evening as far as I'm concerned. $8,000 for Corey Sandhagen in DraftKings, minus 105. 12-1 record. Aljamain Sterling, 18-3. 8,200 in DraftKings, minus 114 at the betting window. 30 years of age for Sterling. You look at how these fighters are priced. Hard not to end up with one of these guys in your lineup. This fight is going to take place in the smaller octagon, which it depends on what type of game plan Aljamain Sterling is looking to implement. Really, that's what it comes down to. Corey Sandhagen, you know how he's going to fight. Sandhagen is very fluid in there, does not give up on himself. Sandhagen will have to be rendered unconscious if folks are thinking that he's going to be taken out of this fight. I don't think we will see Corey Sandhagen tap under any circumstances. Aljamain Sterling, an X factor in this fight is his wrestling, and he has very underrated jiu-jitsu. I've heard Matt Serra and others talk about this on multiple occasions. I know coach talk, you hear, and you don't want to believe coaches when they talk up this guy. But in this spot, I see if this fight plays out on the feet and it ends up heading to the later rounds, I could see Corey Sandhagen really pouring it on late and hurting Aljamain Sterling and possibly putting Sterling out of there in the later rounds. Though, if Aljamain Sterling comes out here and does what I think he's going to do, and that is get involved in a grappling heavy match, Corey Sandhagen, not only has he been taken down in each of his fights, but he has been big brothered in many of his fights. And Aljamain Sterling, I believe, does have the ability to big brother Corey Sandhagen at times in this spot. And there, you watch the Alcantara fight, that wasn't very long ago. Sandhagen has a tremendous amount of potential here. He is a rising star at only 28 years of age. I wish they made the Frankie Edgar Corey Sandhagen fight. I would have even liked to see the Dominic Cruz Corey Sandhagen fight, but to me, I have to pick Aljamain Sterling in this spot. I think that the X factor is going to come into play here, and that Aljamain Sterling is going to surprise some folks with his not only grappling prowess, but also his sneaky submission game. And I have a hunch that we may see Corey Sandhagen unconscious at the end of this fight. Next up, we have men's 135-pounders. Again, great bantamweight matchup here between Cody Garbrandt against Raphael Assuncao. Raphael Assuncao, a month shy of his 38th birthday, 7,600 in DraftKings, plus 119 underdog. You look at the other side of the fight, 8,600 for Cody Garbrandt, minus 143. Garbrandt is reeling here. He's coming off of multiple losses where he has just thrown his game plan out the window. Raphael Assuncao, you look at somebody who's very disciplined, focused, built. I have no idea how this guy is able to maintain his physique throughout the entirety of his career. He has not morphed or changed at all. Identical reach for these combatants. Garbrandt, a thing that jumps off of the screen when you're watching tape in this fight is that he is lightning quick, much faster than Assuncao. Assuncao in his previous fights has really slowed down. Even Sandhagen, who isn't a very doesn't throw for speed, was teeing off on Assuncao. Assuncao, though, is going to be marching forward. Tends to be a counter striker, though. In this spot, it should be interesting the way things play out, because Garbrandt changed camps recently, has spent time with Mark Henry. A lot of fighters have gone to Mark Henry and things haven't turned out well. So I have concerns about that, though. If Cody Garbrandt is able to stick to a game plan for 15 minutes, he should win this fight. He has a tremendous get-up game, keeps his hips away so that he can't be taken down, has a great sprawl, and Assuncao, he is the consummate professional. The longer this fight goes, the better shot I give of Cody Garbrandt of winning it, as long as he doesn't get drawn into a all-out firefight. Now, how can we trust that that is not going to happen? We can't. But when you're playing DraftKings, you have to take risks. And if you're looking to win $1 million, then you have to get creative, because sometimes you need to bank on the unthinkable happening if you want to separate yourself from the pack. But you can't be stupid about it. This fight isn't expected to go to a decision. The higher caliber athlete, the younger fighter, and the fighter who I believe is going to take this is Cody Garbrandt. So give me Garbrandt in that fight. Though it wouldn't surprise me to see Rafael Assuncao come out here and cause Garbrandt fits. We'll see, though. I think speed and youth is going to be the biggest difference in that fight. All right, main event time. Let's bang this out here. We've got Amanda Nunes taking on Felicia Spencer. Nunes 9,400 in DraftKings, minus 588. I don't trust that money line. I don't recommend playing minus 500, minus 600, minus 700 favorites here. 19-4 record for Amanda Nunes. We've seen her really shore up some of the holes in her game, but she still has cardio issues. Felicia Spencer, 6,800 plus 429 underdog. Both of these fighters almost have identical reaches. Felicia Spencer is a legit 145-pounder, not very athletic. Even when you watch her tape on the regional scene, there is a lot of work that needed to be done. But the one thing that Spencer does have in her back pocket is her jiu-jitsu game. That is her primary strength. And if she's able to get fights to the ground and can weather storms, then she's had success. The problem is, though, Amanda Nunes is a savage, and she can take anybody out. And this fight isn't expected to go to a decision at minus 265. So when you're composing DraftKings lineups and you're looking at fighters who have the potential to meet or exceed their price point as far as scoring goes and multiples, Amanda Nunes is going to be landing strikes, and Spencer's one of those fighters who can take it, and she may be there later in the fight. Spencer doesn't have the greatest output, so Nunes has the potential to put up a significant DraftKings score here. One thing I do want to mention, though, Spencer does have a gas tank, and she is built like a rhino, and that she can and has shown that she can weather storms. She did it against Cyborg, and though, there's only so much the human body can take, and she may get completely outclassed here. But I'm going to have some shares of Spencer out there. The pick's got to be Nunes, though, because you look at the levels to the striking game, and there's just a huge discrepancy in that regard. So give me Amanda Nunes to win the main event. But I see Spencer being a dog in there and not giving up on herself. That's it, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to wish you best of luck in your DraftKings plays, and also if you have any wagers on the fight. I want to thank MMA Oddsbreaker as well as BetDSI for hosting the podcast. I have 4 plays up for this card. If you head over to MMA Oddsbreaker Premium, if you'd like to support the cause, you can do so for a nominal fee. Want to also say you can follow me at betmma.tips, MikesMMAPicks, also on Twitter. Want to also congratulate Chris Olsen for winning the autographed Valentina Shevchenko fight shorts. Great job, buddy. Those are going to be sent out on Monday, and we've got another card next week. So go get what's yours, my friends. Have a phenomenal day, phenomenal fight day. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Take care.